Welcome back, Helldivers. We have a ton to talk about today, and that is going to be with a lot of the leaks that have been out there. I know I've been sharing them out myself, but I figured, with that and all the different push towards new updates to the campaign, I figured let's compile it all into one video and distill it for you. So without further ado, let's dive in. So the magma worlds have been out for a couple days now, and I have to say, friends, this has been a ton of fun. I love the biome, the magma that can melt your Helldiver and also the enemies, but also the rapid acquisition mission. It's a take on the eradication mission. It feels like full-on chaos, and it feels like a true level 10 difficulty. So kudos to you, Helldivers, for giving us something of a challenge over there. But also, it's building up towards a new bot narrative. We've seen for a time now that there's been things in the galactic webway, we'd say, that are moving towards a new narrative shift for the automatons. And now, after seeing some of the leaks that have been out there that I've shared, we're going to have to dive into that with you, so let's take a look at the first one. So ever since the Hive Lord boss, we've always speculated about the bosses for both the Illuminate side and the automatons coming into the fold so that players can have harder levels of a challenge to take on. And now what I think is happening from this rapid acquisition where we are taking the automaton resource and trying to have it for ourselves, that's probably going to help us build out some Helldiver gear as always when we use a resource. But I think what the automatons are doing over here is they're trying to build these larger units. Now, maybe these might not be boss style units because we do have, some thought into what those ones are, especially if they're going to be using the Helldivers 1 cyborg boss all over again for the automatons. But we have a look at what are the first heavy units that could be potentially used from this new resource. Let's take a look at that. So provided by our friend IronS1ghts, we have a look at a new heavy class unit for the automatons, and that is going to be the siege engine. This thing looks like a beast, and it's going to be an absolute behemoth on the battlefield, probably on par with the size of a factory strider, if not bigger. But we don't know too much about the moveset or weaponry, but all from the snapshot that we have here, it looks pretty cool, so I'm very excited to fight it. And then continuing with the cool automaton news, we also have our first look at Cyberstan. From this snapshot here, again provided by IronS1ghts, it looks phenomenal. I can't wait to get in there, start fighting on the automaton cities, and bring wreckage to their cities for once, instead of being able to have them take on ours and we're just defending it constantly, so this will be a fun time. Okay, now warning everyone, because there are heavy spoilers for the next bit regarding the story, so if you do not want it to be spoiled for you, please skip ahead. Alright? Fair warning? Okay, here we go. This one is concerning the end story for what happens when you wipe out an enemy faction. Now, what we're going to show you is for the automatons themselves via a Coretta Kelly, democracy broadcast, but it gives you a cool insight of what happens with the Super Destroyer and the end of the faction and, the celebration that takes place. So I'm just going to show it without the audio and give a little bit of voiceover to kind of let you know what's happening. So once we've fought our way all the way to the end of an enemy faction's homeworld, we'll have the option to upgrade our Super Destroyer to the Star of Truth. Now this is going to be a planetary killer, and you can see in the celebratory broadcast, our fleet moves in, and we're wiping out Cyberstan, and everything is roses and sunshine again, and all is well because a threat has been eliminated. And maybe we'll get some special bonus tied to doing that as a celebration for everyone. But if you don't know, that would mean that they'd be wiped off the map temporarily, and then we'll be able to focus on the other two factions until the end of the war, and then there would be a global reset, and you go back at it all over again. Then also, there are stirrings in the warp, friends, that our old foe, the cyborgs, are going to be coming back to Helldivers 2. Now, we know, obviously, that the cyborgs were folded into the automatons, but we've always speculated maybe there's remnants of actual cyborgs out there, and what would they look like in Helldivers 2? And thanks again to IronS1ghts, we have an image of what one would look like on the battlefield, and he's shooting at our Helldiver. Now, if you don't know about our old foe from the first game, these guys were hyper aggressive. They use a lot of, our technology as Helldivers, but also souped up and more kind of, savage in a way. That's kind of like the word to use for them. And I cannot wait. If we do get to take them on, it will be a blast. So I'm looking forward to this. Alright, now let's get into leaks around the Helldiver gear that we'll be getting, and they come in the form of stratagems and also a new weapon. So first up, we've talked previously in leaks about the 220 Bastion Super Heavy Tank. Now, we've been talking about tanks making a return from Helldivers 1 into Helldivers 2, but what would they look like? And we had our first little icon for the 220 Bastion, but now we actually have an image from the game of what it looks like. And this thing looks badass. It has a super long barrel and has 2 different firing modes to it. And this is going to be a complete killer on the battlefield. And I cannot wait. This is going to be so much fun to use. I don't know if it's going to be a 1-man or a 2-man or multi-man type of machine, but either way, I'm going to have a blast using it. And then our next stratagem is following the same vein of the chainsaw that we just got, and then we're going to be having another melee stratagem, and this comes in the form of a big old sledgehammer. I cannot wait for more, melee weapons added into the game. I kind of am a melee diver, jumping into the thick of things. It's more of a meme sometimes, but you can have fun and you can make it very viable. So if this actually makes it in here, I'm going to be swinging this to my heart's content out of automatons and everything else in my way. Then last up for our Helldiver gear, we have a new weapon, and it is another new energy-based primary, and it is going to be this trident. It is going to be, similar to the scythe or the sickle, but probably more like the scythe. I don't know the functionality of it yet, but all in all is, hey, I can always use another weapon, and I'll be frying enemies with it. It'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait. All right, now let's shift gears to the other side of the galaxy and looking at the Illuminate, or the squids as we like to call them. They have not been so quiet, and there's a lot of shifts that are going to be happening in their story and the modes that we have to fight them in. And we do know from previous leaks that I've talked about that cultists are coming back into the game. Those are more of those kind of like magey overseers that can spawn enemies and also shoot, powerful energy blasts at us, have black hole technology, lots of cool stuff that we've already shown on the channel. So if you want to go check that out, look at a previous leak video. But then also, friends, we have a look at some new level types that are coming in, and they're a lot of fun. So our first one up is going to be a grave robbery mission where we'll go in and steal sarcophagi. It's going to be a play on the rapid acquisition mission that we saw for the bots. And we're going to be taking these, mummies from the Illuminate and loading them into our cargo ships and trying to get away with it, all while under heavy fire. It's going to also introduce a new type of biome area into the map. It's going to be maze works. It's going to be a new setting, so that changes the look of the planet, so that's going to be very cool. But then also destroying anomalous artifacts, and that's going to be these portals that are spawning in enemies. But be forewarned, do not jump into these portals because it will kill your Helldiver, but enemies can spawn out of it. And then last up is going to be taking out one of these type of Defender Overseer towers that can shoot lightning at us and lasers at us. So be forewarned to not get so close. So to recap, I think this is introducing the setup for the Illuminate cultists and the bigger units to come in, surprise us through these portals, and really, add a bigger threat to Super Earth once more. And this is going to be so much fun. I've been waiting on this one for a long time, and we've been talking about it on the channel since forever. So if this does happen pretty soon, it'll be exciting stuff. All right, everyone, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to hit that bell, subscribe if you haven't. Be sure to use those hype points because they help us out. And we'll see you in the next one for new leaks and other types of content. But go check out other videos on the channel while you're at it. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.